Okay, now today I want to talk about a really cool book all westerns that I got today. Well, 99.9% westerns. There are one or two other novels in amongst them, but mostly westerns that I got today from Troutmark's Books in Cardiff. I spent like £25 on this lot. There's some great stuff here. I've got two books in the Ernie Hunter series by John J. McLachlan. John J. McLachlan was the pen name for, I'm not sure who the author's name is offhand, I'd have to look that up. Let's Google it. Okay, so thanks to the wonder of Google. John J. McLachlan was actually John Harvey, a British author. According to, he's 85 years old at the moment. He was born in 21st of December 1938. John Harvey is a British author of crime fiction, most famous for his series of jazz-influenced Charlie Resnick novels based in the city of Nottingham. He's also a screenwriter and poet, and of course the author of these old classic westerns from the 1980s. Ernie Hunter 1 There, White Death, and Ernie Hunter 9 Massacre. I have read several Ernie Hunter books back in the day. Vultures on Horseback, Paul Evan Lehan. I've read a few of Leman's books in the past, and this is a MB Books. It's a lovely vintage copy. I do love the smell of an old book. Cameron Judd's Jerusalem Camp. William M. Johnson's Vengeance of the Mountain Man. I got several Mountain Man books in this haul, so we'll come to the rest. And let's go on now to Louis L'Amour, whom I do love, and this is The Rider of the Ruby Hills, which is a combination of shorter novellas from Louis. Is it Louis or Louis L'Amour? I've always called him Louis L'Amour, and I'll continue to call him Louis L'Amour. Interestingly, I interviewed the late Mr. L'Amour's son on my blog, The Tainted Archive. There were several other Louis L'Amours in this pile. I did put them in order here to talk about them, so let's go through the Louis L'Amours. I've got The Mountain Valley War, Last Stand at Papago Wells, Over on the Dry Side, Kilo, The Trail to Crazy Man. This is again a collection of the shorter novels that Louis L'Amour started out publishing in the pulp magazines. Just lovely book. I've also got this How the West Was Won, which is actually based on the screenplay by James R. Webb from the CinemaScope movie How the West Was Won. And L'Amour manages to condense the entire story down into 248 pages, so that's something that I'm looking forward to reading. I don't believe I've ever read that book before. Another Paul Evan Leman book, The Tough Texan. Okay, so we've got Blood River by Mike O'Rourke, and here's one of the non-Western books, and that is Leo Kessler's Force March. And again, John Harris's Sword Point is another non-Western. The war stories, World War II stories. The Wild Bunch, which is a novelization of the famous Samuel Peckinpah movie. Mark Braun, Dodge City. William M. Johnson, William W. Johnson, another of his Mountain Man series. I believe those books went on into the triple figures. We've got Corrigan by Cameron Judd, which is another book that I've never read. And of course Cameron Judd also wrote Jerusalem Camp, which I featured you earlier. We've got Riders of Judgment by Ralph Compton. Hank Madison, Riding High. The Outlaw Josie Wales. I've got a couple of other copies of this paperback. This is not the only copy I've got. In fact, I've even got a copy of this which goes under its original title of Gone to Texas, which was the novel that the film Outlaw Josie Wales was based on. Zane Grey, Trappers Bull. This is a lovely, it's an ex-library copy, but it's covered in a plastic protective casing, so underneath this book, underneath this cover, this book is in really good condition, so that's great. Breed, which is another Western from the Piccadilly Cowboys type stable. super violent. Along the same lines as the Ernie Hunter Western that I mentioned earlier, we've got another Mountain Man book there from William Johnston. The Saga of Billy the Kid, an American classic, the most authentic story ever told of the boy who became the most notorious killer of the Old West, by Walter Noble Burns. I don't know when this was published. This is a very old copy. It's got a 2 and 6 cover price. 2 and 6, of course, is British monetary, before decimalisation, which was 1972. So this book is pre-1972. It was first published in 1951. And this edition was published in 1962 by World Distributors, so that's a very 10 years before decimalisation. We've got a novella by Brian Fox, who also novelization rather by Brian Fox, who also novelized the Wild Bunch book, which I just showed you. And this is a novelization of the Sabata. Sabata, of course, the spaghetti western starring Lee Van Cleef, and I love the blurb on the back cover of this. Some people called him a bounty killer, others called him a bastard, but no one called him a coward and stayed alive. So that's Sabata, really cool little part of my western collection. This was in amongst them. This is the Wild West Holiday Special, 50p. The year this came from is, can't see a year on this, but it's basically a summer special of comic strips, Wild West comic strips, which were very popular back in the day when I was growing up. You could get those in most newsagents. I used to buy quite a lot of them. Now there are also 7 Sudden books featuring the character of Sudden, which was created, of course, by Oliver Strange. I've got Sudden Rides Again, Sudden Dead or Alive, Sudden Gold Seeker, Sudden Troubleshooter, Sudden at Bay, Sudden Makes War. So several of these are by the original Sudden novels of Oliver Strange, and several are by Frederick H. Christian, who took on the Sudden stories. Really good stuff. This is a very nice book from Superior Books. I'm just going to check where this publisher is. It's an American publisher, but I'm going to show you this cover now because it's wonderful. So this is Streamline Publications, actually. It's a British publisher. I thought this was an American book. It's not. It's a British book. But watch this cover now. Isn't that wonderful? And it's a fold-out picture. Isn't that beautiful? Absolutely stunning. That's Northwest Crossing by Samuel Alexander White. Okay, we're coming up to the end now. We've got another Paul Evan Lehman book, and that is Gun Whipped. Lehman was quite a prolific writer of westerns. Okay, Amos Flag Showdown, part of the Texas Lawman series by Clay Randell. Will Henry is an author who's quite well known to me. I've read a lot of his books, and this is Custer. Will Henry's done a lot of novels, a lot of fictionalizations based on real characters, so I'm looking forward to reading this. Broken Trail by Alan Gearfran, which is the novel has spawned a movie. This there's an Edge, the Biggest Bounty. Edge, I know these books inside out. I've read most of the Edge series. I became friends with the writer George G. Gilman. Actual name was Terry Arknett towards the end of his life, and I was actually responsible for bringing this Edge series back into print when I launched Edge the Loner, which had been the first ever Edge book back in the day when I brought that back into electronic print for the Kindle. I was going to continue that and do the entire series, but work prevented me from devoting as much time as I could, and another guy took over, and now the Edge series is published by Piccadilly Publishing. Okay, we've got High Plains Drifter, which by Ernest Tidyman, made by his Malpaso company. Great film. Not read the book, will read it, we'll have a review here soon. Herb Griegard Journey, this true story of the Donner Party, very famous events, of course, the Donner Party events, so looking forward to reading that. Another non-Western book, Leo Kessler's Blood Mountain. Now this book is very interesting here because it appears to be a cheaply published book. It's called The Great Liquor War, and it was published by Dyson Publishing in British Columbia. The year of this was 1998. I don't know if this was Vanity Publishing or if it was just small press publishing, but it's a really unusual book, so I'm glad to have that in my collection, and I will give it a read. So that's a nice Western All that I got today from Troutmark Books in Cardiff, and if you're ever in Cardiff, I recommend any book lover visiting Troutmark. They've got a wonderful selection of vintage books, as well as some of the more contemporary modern books. So that's a Western All I wanted to share with you. Thanks for watching the video. Please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and even leave a comment. Let's get a conversation going here. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll be back soon with more stuff. Bye for now.